The Bayou is officially open at Walt Disney World. We're going to talk about the opening day festivities and some issues. Also, some big changes happening to Genie Plus, and that's the hot topic tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for June 30th. 2024. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We appreciate you hanging out with us on your Sunday nights. Thank you so much for your support of ParksCenter every single week. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content, and also give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. It's almost July. That's exciting, and we've put together the summer squad. Starting with Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, Rob. Good to be here. Happy to see everyone.
Allie.
What's up? Good evening, everybody.
And Shannon.
Hello. Sorry, my wardrobe is so boring compared to yours, Rob. That was a choice.
It was a choice. Thank you. Thank you. It's Rescue Rangers. I mean, sometimes some crimes go slipping through the cracks, and we try to talk about everything here on ParksCenter. So before we get started, though, we have a super chat. Shannon, are you ready for this? I want to say thank you to Jungle Cruiser. Hello, ParksCenter. Was disappointed with the opening of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. They should have used actual water from New Orleans in the ride, just like when Small World opened at Disneyland Resort, and they used water from around the world. Jungle Cruiser, you are not wrong. Thank you so much, as always, for your super chat. We appreciate you. And, of course, Shannon, thanks for the dance. So there's the Bayou is open. It's officially open. Shannon was very excited to get one last chance to talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure. She told us beforehand, she was like, thank goodness I'm on tonight, because after this we can't talk about the Bayou until Disneyland's open. Thank you for letting me talk about this. She just went on and on. She would not stop. But you know what? I want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that happened this week with the Bayou. So the first thing that happened was annual pass holders were all about some Bayou Adventure and booked everything way in advance, making sure that they were able to be there for the morning of. The attraction opened on Friday, June 28th. The gift shop for it, the Critter Co-op, didn't actually open until the 29th. And at first I was like, oh, they missed the mark. But then I'm thinking how small that gift shop is. And so they routed everyone who wanted Tiana merch through the Emporium with the use of some stanchions and some virtual queue and all that. And I think they did an amazing job. For an opening event. And Allie, you've been to enough Disney opening events that they may have dropped the ball on. You know, when you look at this, they like the way they ushered people through the Emporium, the way they thought they were thoughtful about not opening the co-op, and then they had stanchions at the big food shop, which is the Outpost. Do you think they handled this one pretty well?
Yeah, it does seem like they did a pretty good job on this. It didn't seem like anybody was complaining that they were out of merch or that it was overly chaotic. And usually I get to see everything coming in real time from our Florida people, and there was minimal complaining. So it seems like Disney has maybe finally started to figure this out. I say as they will probably massively mess up the Disneyland one, but hopefully they don't. So.
Minimal complaining from our staff. Are they okay?
I don't know. It didn't seem like it. That was
wow,
wild.
That's crazy. But I mean, Disney seemed to be ready for this day, and you would think so because of all the soft openings that they'd had along the way. One of the things that we featured on the website were these the custodians. They make the Mickeys, and now they're doing these intricate. Good Lord, these are intricate water paintings on the ground. But I mean, Stephanie, that's that like little extra bit of magic that we love Disney for, right?
Oh, I love that. I love that they can do, I don't know how they say, yes, I'm a custodial worker, and yes, I do animation. Like, what box do they check when they hire these people? But yeah, it's something extra, and I think it gives that little extra bit of magic, and it's something neat that they can, surprise the crowd with whenever you're waiting for the ride to go back up.
And let me ask you while I got you, as someone who is from the great state of Louisiana or inhabiting it, is this official Louisiana food that they were selling? Is this like right out of the gumbo pot? What do you think about this
Oh
food?
dear. No, not so much. I think it's the Florida interpretation of Louisiana food, maybe. But I have seen the reviews that the hot sauce is pretty good. So hey, there's that.
Okay. All right. Um, we talked about this before the show, Shannon, and finally I'm going to give you your chance to talk about the Bayou. But you were down there, you missed your opportunity to go. Is there anything that you've seen from the opening that you were like, it really would have been neat to be a part of that? I know the website showed a bunch of different stuff, including this photo package that was 30 some bucks, $35, I think, that you could have gotten. Our team did get one. You can see them all in this picture. If you check it out on the website, you can see it at full size, and every single one of them was holding a mobile phone shooting video down the bayou, which was hilarious to me. But anyway, anything that you saw here you thought was pretty amazing?
No, that seemed pretty cool. What I really thought was cool that necessarily wouldn't impact me, but the way that they honored the Imagineers and everyone who worked on that project, I thought was really interesting. I'm not sure if Disney has really done it so publicly in the past. Even, we think about years ago when their artwork Imagineers came up with Hidden Mickeys because they couldn't sign the art themselves. Everything was owned by Disney. So I thought it was a little different that they honored Imagineers so much, both in person and on social media. So that was cool. And the snacks are really cool too, that they tied it into the ride.
I saw a blogger. I don't know if you're familiar with what bloggers are, but I saw one of them who was reviewing the food and saying this is the first time that the Magic Kingdom has ever had beignets. They've had them at Disneyland, they've had them at Port Orleans, but they've never had them in the Magic Kingdom. I'm thinking, did you not show up for Black History Month when they rolled out the beignets, or during Women's History Month when they rolled out the beignets? Like, they've had beignets. It'll be nice that there's a place to go. Honestly, I think we all are disappointed there's not like a Tiana's Place, Tiana's Palace available nearby, because like if it's all about the food and the only food you have is the next door food wagon, it feels like Pecos Bill, and maybe someday it will be, should have been turned into Tiana's Place so that you could actually go and have some of Tiana's man catching beignets. Um, Let's move on to virtual queues, because anybody who watches this show knows I just love virtual queues. There's nothing I like better than getting up at 6:55 in the morning on my vacation, hoping to God that I get the virtual queue for whatever it is, or else then have to roll the dice and see if I get it at 1, or contemplate the idea of spending $20 a person to try to get a lightning lane, which we're going to talk about that in a second. But the virtual queue system is now up for 2 attractions in the Magic Kingdom. One of them is obviously Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and the other one is Tron. And what we found out is you can't hold 2 of these virtual queues at the same time. So, if you're that family from, I don't know, Saskatchewan, is that a place?
Colorado.
Okay, just making sure.
Colorado.
I making sure I'm not making stuff up. But if you're from there and you bring the family for this once in a lifetime Disney trip and you have one day in the Magic Kingdom, now you have to decide between the Tron roller coaster or Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is basically Splash Mountain Part 2, because it's the same ride system and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Some people like virtual queue, I think. But again, another reviewer I was watching was talking about the fact that you can get that virtual queue, and if all you went to that park that day to do was to ride that attraction, he would prefer to stand in line. And I kind of see that same thing. So I'm going to throw this to you, Stephanie, and ask you what your thoughts are on virtual queue.
Yeah, me and virtual queue are not friends, and I can never get it at 7 a.m. whenever I'm at the resort. I wish that they would start, especially on opening days and new rides like this. Maybe for Tron, go ahead and let the people who want to stay in their hotel room and get it at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., that's fine. But people who are coming for this new ride that they just opened, I wish that they would change it back to where you have to actually be in the park for that. That's the most fair system to me because you're all on the same Wi-Fi in that sense. And I feel like I had a better shot at that whenever I was getting the boarding group for Rise of the Resistance, and we had to be there at 4 a.m. to get into the park, and then get our phones out and get ready, and we got a boarding group. So I do think that this is pretty sad, like you said, for people coming for their once in a lifetime. They better go to the Magic Kingdom 2 days, and try for it a couple of times, because otherwise you won't get that shot to ride both.
Yeah, and one of the things I didn't talk about as much in the first section when we were talking about Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the second day it went down. The second day. Here's what I don't understand about that. This is an attraction that has existed for years. They just went in and basically upgraded everything, and it's still down more than I remember Splash Mountain ever being down, which, again, they've had soft openings. They had the ability to get this done. But when you have to fight for that virtual queue, and then they're like, oh, it's 11:15. I know you were supposed to have your first boarding group at 9 a.m., but we still don't have the attraction up on the second day. And then, the people who had basically banked on the idea of getting the 1 o'clock, I mean, that's a lot of problem. I know that, Allie, you've been there on more than one occasion when an attraction goes 101. How would you feel if you had invested your entire vacation in it?
I would be super annoyed. Like, I'm not one that loves, like, I'll get up and do the virtual queue, not a problem. And then since I'm usually coming from the West Coast, I don't necessarily function very well at 7 a.m. So I'll get my virtual queue and go back to sleep and then kind of head over when I feel like it. But I don't want to spend all day at the Magic Kingdom. So I don't want to be there at 9 a.m. And then if I also want to do Tron, have to be there again at 1 p.m. and hope that I get a boarding group that boards soon and not at 6 p.m. Like, it's a huge, long day, and I don't love this. And it's also going to be terrible, like you said, if the ride goes down, and then I was supposed to have boarded already, but now it's almost 1 p.m. Like, do I dump my Tiana boarding group and hope for Tron? Like, is there a solution for this? Maybe there is. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Nope.
Yeah. Well, Shannon's probably got a positive spin on it. Shannon?
No. My positive spin is that you left off the third option, Rob, in the very beginning, which is opening your wallet, right? Like, that is another way you can ride these rides, which I think is baloney. I was down for two days a few weeks ago, tried to get a virtual queue for Guardians twice as a single rider, and did not get it both times. And so I don't like this. That's what I said. So then I shoveled out $16 just to get Conga. And I want to go back.
Wow. You're so lucky. You got the best one. You got the best one. Oh my gosh, that is so great for you. I am so happy that you got the best one. It's not. Sorry, Gloria, it's just not. It's like, if there's a conga line going on, perfect, but not for Guardians. It's not the right move. Let's talk about this, because this is something that came up this week, and I was like, is this kind of what is it, David at the dentist? Is this real life? Is that, am I the oldest man on the internet that I'm the one that remembers that? Anyway, the Genie Plus rebranded as Lightning Lane, advanced purchase coming to Walt Disney World. There's a lot of stuff here to unpack, and as a matter of fact, if you were drawn in by the thumbnail, this is not clickbait where it says there is no more Genie Plus. It's basically the same way they got rid of Fast Pass so that they could introduce Lightning Lane, because Fast Pass was free, but Lightning Lane costs money. It's the same thing here, because Genie Plus, it's not just the name, which has been insanely irritating to me since the beginning, because they announced this great new tool called Genie that'll help you get around the park, and then Genie Plus, which costs money, but you don't get in the Genie Plus line, you get in the Lightning Lane, and the Lightning Lane also has a paid option for some of the attractions, but not all of the attractions. So I mean, you wonder why people
you ever have
are
a friend
so...
ask you for advice?
You're right. You need to sit them down and go, okay, forget everything you know. Let's start with park reservations and we'll move on from there. And it's just the rules keep changing. And I think a lot of times that's why people love like shows like this, is to be able to go, okay, what are they thinking about this? Because we're the same people who are also planning our vacations and trying to figure out what are the things we're going to do. We do go a lot, but we're also the ones who are like, how does this affect me? And then how does it affect you guys? So it's not just that they're changing it to this new fancy term. And let's put that logo up. There's a new Lightning Lane logo, which, by the way, why haven't we used Lightning McQueen for this?
Thank you.
I feel like, you know, and one of the things I said too is, like, I almost get angry at Stitch because he eats my page. Show me a villain on Shop Disney when my page gets eaten. And then the same thing here with, like, Lightning Lane, like the Genie. We've all been like, I mean, I can't even tell you how many thumbnails I've made for, like, News Today that have, like, you know, the Genie have a frown, or the Genie's been shoved back in the bottle, or whatever. It's like, poor guy. I mean, he did nothing to us. So anyway, the Lightning Lane has a lot of different facets to it, and Stephanie has studied them all intricately and is going to tell us exactly how every single one of those things works. Stephanie?
Oh, I don't know about every single one, but I will say this. I am happy that they are rolling it back to where you can finally pre-select your lightning lanes if you are staying on property. Now, I don't know how it's going to go, you know, for people staying off property. That's probably going to be a disaster, but you can pre-select 3, as according to what I've been reading, and they are tiered, so you can only select 1 of the first tier and then 2 from the subsequent tiers, or you can select all 3 from the lower tier rise. But I do really like this, because back in the day when we could do the fast pass system, you could go ahead and plan your day. You could say, I'm going to be at this ride at this time, it's going to take this long, I can go do my lunch reservation now, and I really liked that. I liked having kind of a way of planning ahead. So I'm hopeful that this is a step in the right direction. I don't know who the marketing geniuses were that confused us for the beginning with the Genie Plus and the Genie and the Lightning Lane. So finally they're consolidating it. Maybe it's going to be a little bit better, but they still need to roll back some of these other changes that they've done. Right?
I have a feeling that was the genius in charge. But to kind of backtrack a little bit, so they've renamed Genie Plus to be Lightning Lane Multipass, and then the paid Lightning Lane, because I think a lot of us have nicknamed it the paid Lightning Lane, is now called Lightning Lane Single Pass. So maybe we won't, I'm going to still call it that, but maybe we won't call it that, and we'll take some of that stigma away from it. So you've got, and keep in mind, this is just Disney World. So we're going to hear from Allie in a second about Disneyland, but Disney World is making this change on July 24th. But back in the day, you used to actually go stand in line. Period. That was your only option. And then they came up with the paper fast passes where you had to go to the attraction, put your ticket in, and it's just like the lottery, kicking out a ticket to tell you when you can come back. Then you come back and ride the attraction, and I liked that system. And then the next system they came up with was the My Disney Experience, and hey, pick 3. And then it was pick 3 from this tier. They added the tiering system later, I think. I don't think that was part of the original rollout of the fast passes that they had online. But to talk about the tiering system, like this is the example on the website from Magic Kingdom, is you can only choose one of, basically it should just say not from this group, but choose one of the good rides is really what it should say. Big Thunder, Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan's Flight, Space Mountain, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. You see obviously that Tron and Seven Dwarfs are not on there because they fall into that paid Lightning Lane tier. And then you've got the second one. It says you can choose 2 or all 3 from this group. Are they trying to sucker me into just choosing from that group and then leaving like Space Mountain and Tiana's Bayou Adventure for Shannon? Maybe, I don't know. So they have this set up with the tiering system, which we're familiar with. We've been down this road before. And then I think this is different, is that after you use your first one in the park, then you can go get another one to add on to the end. I think it used to be you had to use all 3 to be able to do that. So I don't think that cost them anything to do. So that's nice that they were able to add that, but it's still paid fast pass. I mean, we're getting a lot of what we used to have, but it used to be 30 days in advance, and now it's 7 if you're in hotel, 3 if you're not. And then on top of that, it used to be free, and it's not. So, but now you can do it, and that's, you know, to your point, Stephanie, that's one of those planning things that you can do. But they're not rolling this out yet in California. What we have in California is a name change. The exact same thing, though, right?
It is the exact same thing. We are just changing the name. So
Way to go.
That's all I got.
All right. Okay, Shannon, how you feel about all this?
No, correct me if I'm wrong, but with Genie Plus, you didn't pick 3 attractions from the time that you purchased, correct? Like, I think you just picked your first one, and then once you use that or an hour pass,
Yes.
which, I mean, I think this is one of the best changes is that you can go back to picking 3 right off the bat. So I never found that Genie Plus was worth it in Walt Disney World because I'd get 1, maybe 2 rides out of it, and all the times were gone. Disneyland, I paid for it there and it was very successful. I was able to go on a ton of attractions. So I think we're getting in the right direction. I still think there may be some confusion with the single pass to people who don't go often. I would think like, oh, I just want to skip the line at Peter Pan. I could just buy 1, but that's not the case. So still some room for improvement.
Well, and it's so easy to do that they have multiple videos on the website to explain to you how it works. So, it's easy when they have to show you that. But I love this right here where it goes, living with the land is one of the things that the group wants to do. Secret
I want
is,
to. I will go.
I worked it. We know this, but at the same time, that shouldn't be one that you burn your lightning lane on. I'm just, just a heads up. Would you? You would burn it on that? You know what? I will say during times when they have the overlays like the holiday or whatever, it probably is worth it not to have to stand in line for that one. I will give you that. But I've been in like the Figment queue where I'm in standby and the people next to me have like cashed in their lightning lane for this, and probably because they didn't have anything else to do with it. But then we're like walking at the same speed and get on at the same time. And so
and you're in the same car.
Right, exactly. It's like, how's that Genie Plus working for you? Good? Okay, great. But I do agree that it is an upgrade. It is a good thing. Now, here's the thing. Let's wait and see what the price is. Like, are they going to increase the price for the fact that they've given us so much here that goes back to the original? I'm sure that the speech will be, you asked, we listened, we're giving you the ability to schedule in advance, we're giving you the ability to do multiples in a day, and we've changed the name to make it less complicated, which to me, if that's all they had done, bravo. Like that, it's been confusing all along, and I just I'm glad that they finally made that change. Let's move on. The holidays are coming because, it's July. We should be thinking about Christmas. I get, again, why they roll these things out, because if you're somebody who is trying to plan your trip for the fall or for the winter, you want to know what kind of offerings they're going to have. So at Walt Disney World, we're going to see the return of Mickey's Very Merry Christmas. We're going to see the return of Jolly Holidays, which I'm actually a little bit surprised because I feel like there was a lot of hate on that event last year.
Jollywood NIghts?
Jollywood NIghts. I said Jolly Holidays, but Jollywood NIghts. It's a jolly holiday whenever Stephanie's on. So, but the Jollywood NIghts, yes, exactly. So I'm excited to see that this is returning. I liked the event, but there's going to be ice skating. Stephanie, are you going to be involved in that at all, or?
No, I'm not an ice skater, but I do think that it's a great addition to what they have offering. The park is so spread out, and when you're talking about the larger attractions, Tower of Terror, you've got the Tip Top Club extra thing that they do down there, Slinky Dog, Rise the Resistance. You're kind of just running around, and I like the idea that they're going to have something kind of in the centralized area, and they're going to do multiple shows a night. And they did have a DJ there, but I will tell you, by the end of the night, when we were kind of just going down, there was walking out of the park, there was nobody there, like literally no one, and my kids were just running around dancing to the DJ. So I think it's a good idea that they have extra offerings, and I hope that they have the characters that they brought back last time that were like hard to come by, or people that we haven't seen in a long time. Basically you could just stand in line and just get a bunch of character sightings that you haven't seen. So that was pretty cool too. But yeah, I do think that it was a pretty neat event, and I think that the more that they do it, the more they add to it, the better value it's going to be.
I never found Santa Duffy.
Oh no!
I know. And Stitch and Santa was a great one too, but I know this year Lotso's going to be there with Bo Peep, and then also we're going to have the Louie and Baloo from Tailspin. So since I'm rocking the Rescue Ranger shirt, as Shannon so complimented me on, I do want to. I mean, those will be fun ones to do. So I'd love to go back and see this one, and it looks like it's starting a little bit earlier. Last year they were very small. There was a very small amount of the nights, and I don't know that they all sold out. And so maybe for that reason, I enjoyed my time more because everyone had already hated on it. Kind of like Allie hates on the Polynesian Tower, so I'll probably have my pick of rooms. But but anyway, I'm excited to see the kind of stuff that's coming. Allie, what are you most excited to see?
I would love to be able to go to Jollywood or the Mickey party out there, the Christmas party, because we got rid of it out here. They tried that a few years ago. The event was not amazing and it was ridiculously expensive. They haven't announced a whole lot of what's coming here other than some new outfits for Mickey and Minnie. So I assume we're going to have a whole bunch of plastic coming our way and just hang on for the ride for that.
Ooh, yuck. Like a lot of sippers and popcorn buckets and things.
Ugh,
Gross.
terrible.
Shannon, what about
Who
you?
knows?
Yeah, exactly. What about you? Festival holidays,
Love
Jollywood.
Festival of the Holidays, really do. And Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. I feel like they've been listening in recent years and really blessing these events and giving us more, especially with Mickey's Very Merry, because it is not cheap for that ticket. So I'm really curious to see what they're going to have this year, if anything additional. But they've been doing a good job, so I'm looking forward to it.
Bring back the dream lights, though.
Oh, I do hear a lot of anger about the dream lights. No matter where I'm looking, whether it's Twitter or YouTube, people are like, the dream lights. I don't know that everybody cares about it as much as we do, but it does seem like an effort worth making.
Osborne?
Yeah, right.
I was going to slip that in while we're talking about it.
More lights, more lights.
More light.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to Zootopia. I usually ask everybody on the panel what things they do and don't want to talk about. And tonight, unanimously, all three of you said, no, thanks. But I do think that this is something worth bringing up because when you go to World Showcase, I think we all have our favorite things to do at EPCOT at World Showcase. I feel like most people hit up, the Grand Fiesta Tour because again, there are limited amounts of rides that are in World Showcase. I know that Shannon doesn't miss the tequila bar. And then when you go into Norway, I mean, I'm always there to meet up with Elsa because why not? And then you've got the line for Frozen that wraps all the way around to the China Pavilion. So China, I think a lot of people eat there, and they have the Nine Dragons restaurant, which is usually pretty easy to get into if you don't have an option, and the food's always pretty good. And there's a walk up and there's some shops, but there's Wonders of China, which was the movie that we were all supposed to see the greatest upgrade for with a seamless Circle Vision 360 screen called Wondrous China, which they were like, did we say that? We didn't mean that. Like they kind of swept that under the rug with the whole thing of EPCOT and the reimagining there. But there's a little space that you can go to that's actually sort of post-show, I think, for the Wonders of China that a lot of people don't go to. That is basically like a preview center for Shanghai Disney, which is a lot of fun to go in there and look around and stuff, especially because it's not in the Florida heat. But they've gone in. And they had shut this down for a little while, but they've gone in and they've added a display to show, here's Duffy and Friends, and I think that, here we go, here's Zootopia. And so they've got the uniforms and the car and a little bit of a model that are in there so that you can kind of get a feel for what Zootopia is going to be like in Shanghai, even if you don't get to go. I love this feature. I know that there's like the Stave Church in Norway that you can walk in that a lot of people just probably walk by and don't see. And there's a little spot in Morocco too that you can go in, take a look around. There's a couple of like exhibits and things in there. I just love these little hidden gems that I think a lot of people miss. Now, maybe not everybody, but it's one of those things that I feel like, especially as a theme park lover, that I love to go see this because I don't know if there's ever going to be a day when I'm going to Shanghai. I mean, especially after the hugely great review Tom gave it for the time that he went. So I don't know that that's a thing, but I just wanted to share that with everybody before we move on. And you guys are missing out. You need to go check it out. So let's talk about a change that has happened, which apparently made Stephanie pretty angry, and a lot of people pretty angry. They changed the menu at Sleepy Hollow Treats, and they changed it to use Mickey waffles instead of these like very cool sandwiches that they used to have there. They have Mickey waffles now. Stephanie, you have the floor.
Why, God, why? No, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, there's a very limited amount of good food at the Magic Kingdom. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. Like maybe you just love your Casey's hot dog and you have to get that every time. But for many, many years, there have been a lot of people that said Magic Kingdom has the worst food. Sleepy Hollow is not that location. Sleepy Hollow had the best fresh waffles and the Nutella on top. It is a staple in my house. My kids ask for it by name before we go. That's the first place we have to go for breakfast. Yes, the chicken and waffles wonderful. And during the holiday parties we're just talking about, they do holiday ones. They would do like a red velvet waffle and they'll put ice cream on top of it and that kind of thing. Why in the world, just because it's Mickey shaped, is that the issue? I mean, go and watch Nana's review. That's all I'm going to say about this, because I did, and I'm mad.
Preach.
Whew. How do you really feel? Tell the people. Let them know. Man. Yeah, I mean, again, I saw the chicken waffle on an early review that we had done a while back and was like, oh my gosh, this looks delicious, and I went and got one. It's a little messy, but again, my brother-in-law got the fruit one, loved it. The big Belgian waffle, that was pretty cool. Shannon, thoughts?
This is going to be controversial, and I'm so sorry, Stephanie, but I'm okay with the changes.
Wow.
I know I think this comes down to personal taste. I didn't eat the spicy chicken sandwich. I'm not the biggest fan of Nutella, so I didn't get that sandwich either. And the berry one looks really good, as does the one with the bananas. So sorry.
Oh my gosh! Would you please tell her to her face that you're?
I still like you. It's okay. I forgive
Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any? You know what? I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one before we go to Allie, because I feel like Allie is going to be like, let me talk about this place. A new restaurant is opening, soft open now, I believe, and is having its grand opening at Downtown Disney. The fun thing to me about Downtown Disney was that they were going to make this huge hotel that the monorail was going to go through and have lots of retail and shops and things. And so they shut down the Rainforest Cafe and demolished the AMC Theater. Then nothing forever. And so we're finally getting some of that back up and running. And there is a brand new restaurant that has opened. And I feel like it's been in soft open. And Allie, you've been there more times, I think, since it's opened just to go. Is this your new hangout? Is Din Tai Fung, is that the name of it?
Yeah, Din Tai Fung. So it is a chain. They have them not all over, but there's quite a few across like LA and Orange County. Fun fact, I have now learned there is one mile and a half from where we live, so that is not going to be great for me. But maybe it's a good thing I didn't know it was there. But anyway, they invited us. I went Thursday. We had the most phenomenal meal. The service was fantastic. Everything we ate was like absolutely amazing. And they're known for their long bao, and the pork long bao was amazing. Probably one of the best things I've ever had. And then Tom had me get this chocolate mochi bao for dessert, and probably one of the top 5 things I've ever eaten in my entire life. Like, we went the next day to the one in Torrance to get them here. Everything was so good. It was freshly made. You can see them making them in the background. All of it was great. It's all family style. They were super accommodating to explain about everything. Yeah, the steam bao was phenomenal. Like, they have that in the park a lot for us, and it's usually not very good, and it's like, okay, this is what this is supposed to taste like. Yeah, so great addition to Downtown Disney. It was absolutely packed, and I think it will continue to be packed. So 10 out of 10 would recommend go. If you don't want to go to the Downtown Disney one, Google it, go to one of the other ones. Food tasted exactly the same at the one by us, so
It reminds me
next
of
time you're at
Gideon's.
Disneyland, go.
There's Gideon's, and then there's Gideon's at Disney Springs. Gideon's at Disney Springs is harder to get into no matter how much people bash whatever issues they
Yeah.
were before. It is harder to get into that I've never been in. Like I've literally never been in. And so I know there's one not far away. But
Yeah.
it probably has no line. It's like, but I want this one. So I feel like, it's probably the same thing. I'm waiting for Portos to open up there. What the heck?
I don't think it's going to happen. The rumor
But
is
Josh
that they're no
promised
longer...
me.
I think Josh maybe lied to you, and I'm really sorry about that. And we can work through this and unpack this later. But I have heard from numerous sources that work in Downtown Disney that it's probably not happening. So, and I don't feel like we need it because there's one like around the corner right by Knott's, and you can go to that one, and there's free
No.
parking, and you don't have to deal with the mess
No.
of Downtown Disney. Like,
No.
there's Portos all over. Like, it'll be okay. I know.
There needs to be a
I
Downtown
know.
Disney one because Josh promised at D23 Expo. He promised. He told me there'd be one. He gave me treats. He gave me a little box of treats and said, "Look, this is coming to Downtown Disney. You're gonna love it." And I was like, "You're right, Josh. I love it. Anything you say, buddy." And then like now this is that's heartbreaking.
Doesn't sound
I can't
like
believe
them.
that.
Sad.
Are you sure?
Promise something and break it? Yeah. Hopefully it never happens.
Speaking of promises broken, there was this ride attraction that they were going to do at Disneyland. It was supposed to look like this. There was concept art and everything. It was going to be the next generation e-ticket attraction added to Avengers Campus in California. They actually had this artwork at the Disneyland or at the Disneyland Paris Hotel, the Marvel Hotel there, and then I think Tom took a picture of it, and then they took it down because they're like, "Oh, you're not supposed to see that. That's not a thing." So it looks like
That
now. Do what?
That did happen, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like now, and so there is already a Marvel presence at in Hong Kong. They have the Ant-Man and Wasp attraction, which has just had hugely positive reviews. But this attraction, if it actually gets to be built, I'm pretty excited for that because I would love to, and again, not like I'm going to Hong Kong anytime soon either, but it would be nice if this attraction existed. I would love it if they could take all the blueprints of all the things that we've been promised in the past, the Great Muppet Movie ride, or the Toontown Trolley, or I don't know, the Play Pavilion, and then make them somewhere so that they exist and we can go to them rather than copycat the same attractions over and over again. So in California, Allie, to your knowledge, they're still coming at us with that Thanos like multiverse attraction, right?
Maybe. Where is it going to go?
It's supposed to go behind the tower, and the entrance is supposed to be through Avengers HQ. Do I need to explain Disneyland to you? No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, good night.
Bye-bye. No, but that's where was supposed to go. That's where this one was supposed to go. And then there was rumor that because of the Disneyland Forward, that they would do something instead in a Wakanda fashion in some sort of expansion that they would do with Disneyland Forward. So I'm excited to see what happens here. They've announced this is happening, so finally getting expansion in Hong Kong. If it tests well or does well or people go nuts over it, maybe the Thanos attraction will still happen. But even at D23, Destination D23 that happened in Orlando last year in the fall, they were still talking about the Thanos attraction. So it's supposed to be a King Thanos multiverse attraction coming to Disney California Adventure, and they mentioned it. They sure mentioned it, so maybe we'll get more information from Josh in the fall. But now seeds of doubt have been laid after this whole Portos thing, so I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about that. Let's move on to DAS. I actually had a request from somebody who said that they wanted us to talk a little bit more about DAS. Obviously, the disability access system has been a problem. It's one of those things that existed, and then FastPass became Lightning Lane and cost cash money, and people started gaming the system to try to have a DAS that didn't need one. And so, you know, it is our opinion that Disney was like, we need to crack down on this, not for the people who need DAS, but because we want to get these other people to pay, which is a horrible look in general to have. So, you know, I'd like to think that's not the case. Hashtag not my Disney, but I mean, it does seem like that's probably the case here. There have been a couple of these videos that I've seen on TikTok where people who say that they need the DAS system. This girl was denied the DAS system. I'm shocked at this. You know, she was offered the opportunity to do the rejoin the line. So if you have a party with you and they wait 2 hours for Radiator Springs Racers, when they get to the front, you can come meet them. I don't know that solves the problem of what are you doing for those 2 hours while you're waiting for your friends, or what happens if you can't meet up with them, or what happens if you're alone. Doesn't seem to do any of those, but it looks to be one of these things where, and she says this in her video, which was really poignant. She said that her disability, it seems like, is not up to Disney's standards of what a disability is. So Stephanie, I want to throw this one to you. I almost made a graphic for you about Stephanie's medical minute and did not do that tonight, but I've seen more than one video of people who were having these kind of problems trying to get assistance.
Yeah, her I think her name is Charisma. Her thing just came up on my feed just by happenstance, you know, on YouTube, and it truly broke my heart. It really, really does. People with neurological disorders, ALS, things that are terminal illnesses, you know, cancers, and that ALS is a terminal illness, honestly, and cerebral palsy. People who are not able to regulate their temperature, especially at Disney World. Maybe not so much in California. I know that the climate's a little bit more mild out there, but they really do have a deficit when it comes to being able to wait in line. And yeah, what are they going to do? They're going to sit over in a store somewhere for 2 hours, or at a table somewhere at a counter service restaurant, and wait for their friends to text them and say, hey, we're at the front now, you can come and join us. I just feel like this is a huge disservice to these individuals, and they really need a better system, like I said, you know, before, where maybe they don't rely on cast members who are not medically trained, but they go through a third party like Advent down in Florida, that they actually have medical personnel and medical staff to be able to discern if this is actually something that meets the standard. Obviously, she would meet or needs to meet the standard, this poor person. And she is obviously a annual pass holder. She loves Disney. This is not something that she did to knock Disney by any means, but to bring awareness to it. And because if they're denying her, who else are they denying? It completely breaks my heart for these individuals. And yes, I feel like Disney needs to be more inclusive, because you are trying to bring the magic to everyone, not just, you know, those who are able-bodied.
Yeah. And you know, the other thing is she's sitting there in her Disney gear.
Yes.
Like, definitely a fan. Definitely has an effect on her life. She is there decked out, ready to, you know, live her Disney experience, and they're, I don't know. Again, it's tough for me to say because I'm not sitting where she's sitting, but I look at it, and from where I'm sitting, I'm heartbroken for her. And then on top of that, she suggested something that happened with Max Pass back in the day, is the ability to, as an annual pass holder, buy an like basically a Lightning Lane multi-pass for the year. I'm trying to work that into conversation rather than Genie Plus, a Lightning Lane multi-pass for the year, and that was included in the top tier of your annual pass options. And I wish it was still included, but she was saying that she would like to see it for somebody who has disabilities, is to say, look, if I'm not the one that meets the criteria that Disney has set forth for disabilities, can you at least acknowledge that I need some help and would like to have some option, even if I have to pay for it? I mean,
That
that's
feels
pretty strong.
discriminatory. It feels discriminatory, though, because honestly, if you're going to say this person doesn't meet our standard, and by what standard is that? Like, what are we talking about here? You know, can we have a list?
No one knows.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, and then the problem is too, is as you there are a lot of things that people need, as you said, Stephanie, that things we can't necessarily see, that people need them. And, hopefully those people are getting them. But I don't know why the doctor's note thing would have been such a bad idea, as Universal did,
Right.
is to say, look, the doctor's writing you a note to say this, you need this. You need to be able to do this because you cannot spend the time waiting in line. Desi is in the chat and said, I thought that inclusion was supposed to be one of the keys of Disney. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
True.
And I think we make a lot of they make a lot of adjustments for things like removing the curbs, in some of the main areas, and zero entry pools, and that's a start. But it really has to be, without question, everyone can do, to do everything, because that's really what they're saying they stand for. As a private business, they have the right to do whatever they want, but you can't come out and say I'm one thing and then be something else. So stay tuned. It's going to be a big conversation. But again, I think Vixen 7117 is in the chat and had said we were going to talk about this before, and we didn't. And we definitely are never shying away from any topics that are there. So if you guys feel like there are other things we should be talking about, we're happy to talk about them. We usually try to keep it to the parks, but this is a big deal in the parks moving forward. Let's talk about Oogie Boogie tickets. Horrible transition, by the way. I apologize. It's a horrible transition. But Oogie Boogie tickets, I've said on this show more times than I can count that it is the best hard-ticketed event that I had ever been to. And maybe that's because Jollywood isn't what it could be yet, and maybe it will be. But I think that Oogie Boogie is one of those events that I've just been enamored with from the beginning. I think it was the Villains... what's it called? Villains
Grove.
That where they take Reedy Creek the Redwood Creek area.
Creek, yeah.
And Reedy Creek. That's something else.
Do I need to
Redwood
familiarize
Creek.
you with Disneyland?
Yeah, you can take that.
Ooh,
take that right
got
now.
him.
The Redwood Creek area, and they make this beautiful nighttime spooky walkthrough that I feel like is reminiscent of a kind of a Halloween Horror Nights house, but not. It's very calm, it's very serene, it's very cool. I love it. There's always a huge line to wait to walk through it. But that was the first thing I saw that I was like, I need to go to this event. Then they came up with all these characters that I'd never imagined we would see in the park. Like, I don't know, Sid? Like, who thought we were going to see Sid in the parks? That was crazy. And Agatha and zombie Captain America. I'm like, please give us more of that. So the tickets went on sale last week for Inspire Key, which was the top key. Those sold out, and then the next day they went on sale for All Magic Key, and then they went on sale for everyone. But at this point, there's still some available, which... Allie, I'm going to go to you in a second on this, but I was looking at the calendar earlier here, and there are still some dates available here in September, in October even. There's still some dates, so I was surprised that this is still here at this point, because I know people always hit you up early asking you to get them tickets.
Yeah, they do. This is, crazy to me that there's still tickets available, and thankfully there's still tickets available on the day I'm going. But if you look at that calendar, it's all on Tuesdays. So, I feel like a Tuesday night is hard for a lot of people, especially if you have kids, like you're dealing with school that day and school probably the next day, I would assume. And then they've also raised the prices a little bit. So maybe we're finally hitting that price where people are like, you know what, maybe I don't need to go every year. And I told myself I don't need to go this year, and I bought tickets, so I am definitely part of the problem. But yeah, that's just, I think they will sell out very soon, but there's definitely something going on with the days, and I definitely noticed a price increase. And they haven't announced any major changes. I'm sure those will be coming later, but it's still an amazing event, and I would go every year.
Yeah. I went 2 years in a row and then didn't go last year and bought tickets for someone else with my key. And then that was hard. It's like, hey, I'm buying keys. I'm buying tickets. I'm in the queue. I got the ticket. And it looked like it
that's where I was.
Smoothly.
I was getting Stephanie's tickets, and I was like, I can get 2 more. I was like,
see, I didn't think you were going to call her out, and you did. And you did. So
Allie's the queen of Disneyland. She's the queen. Thank you, Allie. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thoughts from you, Stephanie?
I'm super excited. I haven't been back to Disneyland in probably 8 years. So this is exciting, and I'm going to bring all the kids, and we're going to do Oogie Boogie. I'm game. I'm super excited.
Okay. All right. And Shannon, any thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, it's on my bucket list. I want to go, but probably not in the cards this year.
Aw, that's so
I
sad.
know. I know it is.
Um, was this on your bucket list? Is this something that you
I
want to have
love
in your
this.
life? So Fourth of July offerings have been announced for food, for fireworks, and all kinds of fun things at Disney parks, at Disneyland, and at Disney World. And Shannon, you've looked through the foods. Have you seen any that you're like, oh man, I wish I was there and I would buy that?
No, nothing in particular. I just like that they do this. Honestly, does anyone buy any of this stuff? That's what I want to know.
You know
But
the
I
one that
like.
gets the one that gets me is this, where they take, hey, here's a milkshake with a piece of cake on the top of it. Like
That's actually
that's the
really
kind of
good.
thing that looks really good. That perfect for Instagram or for your social media of choice. But my wife always says to me like, "How would you eat that?" And I would say, "With my face, I would eat that." Um, yeah, it's like you eat the like usually it's a donut or something weird like that, but I love how like over the top some of that stuff is. But anything here, Allie, that you uh, caught your eye?
Not really. It's like the same stuff every single year. So, fun fact though, with that shake, so they'll only serve that, like the giant ones with the cake, if you sit inside the restaurant, and then they give you a plate. So, you just take the piece of cake off and put that on the plate, and then you kind of figure that out from there. But I've been at Disneyland like the last 2 or 3 years. They send me on July 4th for the fireworks. Last year I did the DCA fireworks with World of Color and then tried to run over to Disneyland in time and it was packed. Like they let me in and they're like, there's nowhere for you to go. And I was like, cool, I'll just bounce. But it's, I mean, it's a good event, but the snacks never really interest me because it's just Rice Krispie treats and caramel apples and the same stuff you can get every year.
Aw, okay.
No.
Well, now I'm sad. But you said
Can I
that
say
Okay to
mine?
be sad.
yeah,
Okay to be
absolutely. Go
sad.
ahead.
Uh, I will say for Epcot, the fact that they have the Mickey and Goofy and Donald in their 1776 costumes. I wish that they did that more often in the American Pavilion. I love
Yeah.
that. I've never seen it, and I would love to go, but I'm never there on Jolly 4th. So, but I would love to have that come out more often, because I think that that's such a they used to do the fife and drum. Do you remember that? And that stopped, I guess, right after COVID or something. I wish that they had that come out more too. So bring back more of that. I think the interesting costumes and the neat things that they do for the holidays is really neat.
If memory
I l-
serves me, I think they do come out in those costumes for the marathon. So just run a marathon.
Oh,
that's all. Yeah, just roll the dice that they might be at that one, and
great.
just book every marathon like Allie does, and then you're fine. So you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about that. Um, I love this at the smokehouse that they've got this like kind of what's it like a
Oh,
brand on top of the sandwich with the
Yeah.
American flag on it. That because that really feels like that would be like a Sam the Eagle type of a thing to do. Um,
mhm.
but you know where else they used to have those characters that you're talking about, Stephanie, is when Liberty Tree was a character dining
Yeah.
experience. They had
Yes,
them in their
that's
patriotic
right.
costumes there, and that's why it's table service or like family style is because it started out it was a character meal. Not started out, but it was a character meal with the table service with the Patriots platter, and then they were like, we don't need the characters. Plus, there's not a lot of room there. Plus, as we've talked about, my wife has claimed that to be, without a doubt, the winner for the worst bathrooms in all of
They
It's
Disneydom.
true.
are. That's a
So true.
fact.
Because you have to walk up the stairs. I hear they're like carpeted or
Hmm.
something. There's
Yeah.
like
Yes.
they're super
Yes.
small, and I think that if you go in there with more than one person, you guys walk out best friends.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So
it
true.
definitely seems like one
Yeah.
of those things that's not the favorite to do. But also last year they had fireworks at Epcot, and apparently they're not doing fireworks at Epcot this year. So everyone's going to have to cram into the Magic Kingdom for fireworks this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's move on to the last topic for the night, which is the Flavors of Florida, which begins actually tomorrow. The Flavors of Florida menu and scavenger hunt is taking place at Disney Springs, which I love when they do things at Disney Springs. If you guys haven't been out there already to check out the drone show, Disney Dreams That Soar, it is amazing. When I was there a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I checked it out three times actually, because it's just so cool. And I don't know if they'll continue to do that. I was hoping they would. It's supposed to end in September. Maybe they'll continue it after that. But there was one at the holidays in the year, I think it was 2018, and I would love to see them like kind of return to that. But for Flavors of Florida, they go through, and the different restaurants have offerings for this time period. But again, it all starts tomorrow, and I'm sure you'll see a lot of reviews from WDWNT on all of this stuff. I love when there's extra things. Although I was thinking about this today with all the holiday stuff, with Festival of the Holidays and the parade at Disneyland that they do, and the special fireworks and all that, is I feel like we're paying for it at the end.
Yeah.
Like, if there was just a Christmas tree at the end of Main Street, wouldn't be as special. But if you could cut back on the price a little bit, maybe I'd be okay with that, because I don't go all the time. But I do think that with all of these things, it's nice. Like, I love seeing new things rolling in and out all the time, and Disney does the best job of keeping things moving through. Anybody have any thoughts on the Flavors of Florida before we wrap this up?
I do. I would say, I think Florida, we all know, Disney news or not Disney news, Florida gets a pretty bad rap. And I think we kind of forget the culture or the environment of Florida itself and what it has to offer. So I like that they're celebrating the state and what it's known for, and also showcasing local beers and whatnot. So I think this is a neat little thing that they're doing, and that the restaurants get to participate in.
Well, and on top of that, we get another opportunity to see Orange Bird in cake form.
Yeah. Right.
I'm always down for that.
He's so cute.
I know, right?
We're going to talk about him in the we'll talk about him in the post show. I have something to say.
You have thoughts on
no.
Orange Bird? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
First y'all like trash my shirt, then you come at Josh tomorrow as a liar. Now you're going to talk about Orange Bird? I don't
It's
know.
a story.
I don't know. Orange Bird, I Orange Bird stan right here. So I don't know. It's going to be a rough post show. Speaking of which, thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. A special shout out to our wigs. We love our wigs, the WDWNT Inner Globe Society. Thank you guys so much for being part of our family. It is our Patreon. If you want more information on that, go to patreon.com/WDWNT. Also, don't forget that we are continuing with live programming all summer long with ParksCenter on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. And of course, we also have a little show that we do on Wednesdays called Deep in the Plus. And last week, the Jake Woods from News Tonight and all kinds of studio running and managing, and he's all over the place, but he was kind enough to come on and do Deep in the Plus with me for Stitch the movie. And if you guys could go and show Jake some love, watch that show. He is the best. We appreciate Jake and his Stitch fandom. Don't ever go up against him with Stitch, Shannon. You will be sorry. This coming Wednesday, we're going to do the Liberty Story with Stephanie, where she's going to talk about the Liberty Story with me, and right in time for July 4th. And then on July 10th, our tween correspondent, don't ask why, Patrick Hackett, will be on to talk about the Descendants. And then July 17th, Desi is going to be on talking about Epcot Becoming. We're probably going to do that as a watch along because it's finally dropping on Disney Plus. And then July 24th, Patrick's back for Wreck-It Ralph. We got a great lineup there, and I hope you guys can join us for that. And if you are a Wigs member, you can stay tuned. We have a post show after this. But again, I want to thank everyone for being here on the panel, for giving your time to talk about Disney stuff. And we also want to make sure you come back and see us again next Sunday night at 9 p.m. for another Park Center. Also, go back and watch last week. Shannon and Allie killed it. They had so many cool things to say. And you're missing out if you don't go back and check it out. So please enjoy your week. Have a great 4th of July if we don't see you again. And we will see you next time. I love it. Remember last week when I botched that up hard?
Yeah, I was
That
waiting for
awful.
last week. That was better.
Oh my
I
God.
love that. That was a train wreck. It was great.
It was indeed a train wreck. Thanks for reminding me of that one. I can always count on you, Allie, to shoot straight with me.